What is up, everybody? My name is Bobby. I do music, and today I have a confession to make. I have not been completely upfront about my signal chain on all my videos in the past. I always say, like, going through a synergy module, going through the board, everything else is bypassed, whatever. There's one pedal that's always been on, and it's this guy. We've got the Empress ParaEQ Deluxe on the board right now. This thing lives permanently, always on, in my effects loop of the synergy system. So we're going to dive into it. I'm going to show you both in front of the amp and in the effects loop. We're going to start in the effects loop because that's where I have it right now, and that's where I use it the most, constantly, all the time. But then we'll shove it in front of the amp, and I'll show you some cool stuff you can do with an EQ, whether it's the Para or something else. Really quick, the signal chain. My trusty Ibanez S320 with the D-Activators. Right now we're going through, I've got the BEBB and the SLO II in the synergy system, going through my Torpedo Live with the same Mesa 4x12 cab that I use on all of my demo videos. Right now I've got the SLO II dialed up with the Horizon Precision drive in front of it. So we've got a nice crunchy tone like this. Now, this is probably going to be very subtle, but we'll get some extreme examples too. This is usually about how I have it set up. In fact, you can ignore those two. I literally use it to high pass, low pass, because this is a recording environment. So I high pass, low pass the guitar, and I dip a little bit of 250 hertz out to just kind of get rid of some muddiness and clean the signal up on the way into being recorded. This was stuff I was already doing all the time in the DAW with plugins, with my Console 1 or with FabFilter or whatever EQ I had handy. I always found myself like kind of, getting rid of some mud and reining in the highs and lows. So I use the ParaEQ to do that. So let's talk about it. The controls on the ParaEQ Deluxe, we've got the on-off switch and we have a boost, which I never use, but we'll get into that when we get into the front of the amp. And then we've got a low pass, sorry, I got them backwards. High pass filter to filter out the lows. We've got a low shelf, a high shelf, and then a low pass filter to filter off the highs. And then we've got a 3-band parametric EQ with, it's a parametric EQ. I literally use the middle band and the filters and shelves, and that's it. And those stay on all the time. Now, occasionally I'll use it for some other things, which is why I have a second one, because this one, I don't move the settings, but we're going to move the settings today. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about getting the sound back. Anyway, so with it off, how I usually have it set, off. On. Now, if you're listening on phone speakers or, a crappy system, you might not be able to hear much of a difference there. If you're on good speakers or good headphones, hopefully you can hear it just kind of tidies up the guitar signal a little bit, even for a high gain sort of thing. Let me show you the thought process behind that. So I'm going to zero this out, zero everything out. And, whoop, I had the high gain up. I missed that. Oh, well. We'll get there. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't look at it. It's fine. Okay. So I use the high pass filter, first of all, to get rid of like subby low stuff that the bass that's going to get in the way of the bass guitar and the kick drum. So let's wind our way through that filter just so you can hear the whole range of it. And then we'll go through the shelf and the low pass filter and then the other controls here in the context of it being in the effects loop post preamp. And then we'll talk about putting it in front of the amp so you can kind of change your guitar tone on the way in to get different sounds. So right now we're going to go through the high pass filter. So you can kind of get your megaphone, telephone sort of thing. Where I tend to set it is where I hear it start to actually do work on the low end of the guitar tone itself, and then I back it off from there. So let's dial that in. So usually straight up and down, which I believe is, yeah, 80 hertz is usually where I have that set, 80 to 100, just to get rid of the super subby low stuff and make room for the bass guitar and the kick drum, where to the point where I don't have to do it in the box anymore, at least not nearly as aggressively, and it's just polished. And then we'll do the same thing on the low pass filter, the high cut there. So that's it all the way down. So just to where it starts to shave off those very, very high highs. I don't want to make it completely dark. I just want to rein in the very top fizzy stuff that's going to get in the way of like cymbals and the airy side of a breath, you know, of a voice. And yeah, so I usually have those set roughly straight up and just shy of 3 o'clock there. And then I do use the low and high shelves as boosts because I don't have an actual preamp I'm running into, and the presence and depth controls on the Torpedo are weird. I tend to get just a little bit of that out of the low and high shelf. So let's dig into the low shelf there. So the same thing, I usually just bump it a little bit. I don't want too much, but just enough to give it a little bit of weight back. What I'm looking for, if you imagine an EQ curve from low to high, I'm looking to shave off the very low end and then give just a gentle hump right where it comes back up and then be flat, and then a little bit of a smiley on the other side with the high shelf. All the way up is going to be like super harsh. But it's there if you need it. All the way down. Here's what we have so far without. It's just a little bit more mix ready. The last thing I do is I take the mid control all the way down to 200, and I'll broaden the Q out just a little bit so it's gentle, and I'll just start pulling a little bit of mids until I notice it starts to sound hollow without, you know, I'm trying to get rid of the mud. So I'm trying to find a good balance there. So let's mess with the mid gain at 250, and we'll go through all the range and stuff, but... See, already that's a little too much, but let's go even further. And we'll boost into it so you can hear what I'm actually taking out. And again, the way I'm using it, it's very subtle, good headphones, good speakers, but it's just making it a little bit more mix ready. It's sounding more record ready on the way in. And then, you know, we've got the high and low gains as well. So if I want a little bit more of that crunch out of there, I can hit it at like 2 to 3K, give it a little boost. Or take a little bit away if I'm finding it's too fizzy, like go up to like 5 to 7K. Again, just make it a little bit more record ready. Let's mess with the low end. Let's find something we like or something we don't like. So it's very easy to overdo, but that's how I approach it when it's in the effects loop. And again, I usually actually leave the mid bands alone and use the filters, the shelves, and the mid band just to take out some boxiness. And actually, we could probably do that better. Let's go up to like 350, 400 range. Without. Again, super subtle. Now, creative uses of this in the effects loop, rather than what I'm doing, which is just like some general on-the-way-in shaping. Let's zero this back out. Let's go for that megaphone effect. You know, like crappy guitar intro on a metal song where it's like super lo-fi. Let's bring the filters in, dial something in. That's kind of the thing I'm going for. Take it out. Doesn't have to be the ParaEQ. You can do this with a number of EQs and just like take out all the highs and lows and boost some of the mids there. But what did we end up doing here? We're boosting. I got to get in the way of the other camera here so I can see. We're boosting probably around like 1K 900, a fair bit. We're filtering all the lows up to 330. We're taking out down to, I don't know, 4K. And then I've got some cuts at like 350 and 2.5, 3K. Just to kind of hone it in and make it sound small and crappy. And that said, you've got, you know, the boost control here. So if this is like you have an intro sound in a song in a live context, you've got this running in, and you want, you know, this sort of thing. You don't want to give your sound man too many nightmares, so you can try to level match with the boost control there. And I've got the boost set up so that it only comes in with the EQ in. So I just have to hit the 1. So now there's not such a huge level jump, or maybe you want that, I don't know. But yeah, so that's, you know, some creative uses. We can also get, like you heard earlier, like super scoopy. Super scoopy, dude. Oh my God, dude. So yeah, I view this as a tool for getting better sounds, just coming straight out and making it work a lot better as you're recording guitar tones. It saves you some work on the mixing side or production side, however you want to view it. So yeah, I think that's roughly where I had it. Nope, still boosting the highs. There we go. So yeah, that's the ParaEQ, excuse me, the Empress ParaEQ Deluxe in the effects loop. Now we're going to cut here and go to putting it in front of the amp, and I'm actually going to switch over to either the BB or some other module. We'll see. Anyway, be right back. All right, we're back. So we've got the ParaEQ in front of the BEBB module, which I have set up to sound something like this. So I've got that. One of the things I like to use EQ for, and I usually use an MXR 10 band in front of amps, but we're going to try to do this with the ParaEQ, is we're going to use it as kind of a neat little boost. So we're going to do some things that you normally get out of a boost pedal, such as volume, such as rolling off the low end and maybe boosting in like the upper mids kind of thing. So let's set that up. I'm going to roll off some low end here, take the shelf down, and we're going to boost somewhere in the middle here, kind of broad. Take down some of the highs as well. And let's see what we get without any boost here. Without. We've leaned out the low end, so it's a little tighter. Let's boost it. Let's see if we can find a better spot for that boost. So now we've got a cool boost. What else can we do? Well, let's go back, take the boost out, and let's I don't know, let's see if we can get like the neck humbucker here to sound more single coilish. So actual single coil. Humbucker. So what am I going to do here? Well, we're going to find that sort of mid frequency, usually like 400, 500, maybe a little higher. Already taking some of that out, some like 500-ish in there, is helping for sure. Bypassed. making it a little bit sweeter. Let's boost some treble. Get a little bit more of that kind of... In fact, let's actually go to the BB side of it. Now, we're not going to get exact. This is the actual single coil without the ParaEQ. Here's our humbucker without the ParaEQ. With. Probably actually take a little bit more mid out. Let's go a little bit lower, too. That's better. So now, the humbucker without the ParaEQ now sounds downright dark, like jazzy. Hit the para. And then actual single coil. Obviously not the same, but you're getting closer, right? Like you could spend all day tweaking this to try to get it to sound the same. Of course, you've got a volume drop when you go to actual single coils, but it's a lot more pleasing for that sort of thing. So I love doing that sort of thing. And then even you can do extreme stuff in front of an amp with an EQ. Pardon me. Got me a case of the sniffles. I'm going to go back to the crunch side. Go to the bridge. You can get extreme with it. So let's like roll all the low end off. Roll a bunch of top end off and like goose the mids really aggressively with a tighter Q. And we're going to get a cocked wah sort of thing. Perfect for that sort of thing. I'm probably going to get a copyright notice for that. But yeah, tons of fun things you can do with an EQ in general. The ParaEQ is super powerful. It's definitely, you know, punches above its weight. But it's also, I know on the pricier side, I know because I have two of them. But yeah, it's a wonderful EQ. I'm a huge fan of it. This one is going to go back into my effects loop, doing just that tidying up that I like to do. And yeah, that's been the ParaEQ. Thanks, guys, for checking this out. My name is Bobby. I try to put out videos every Tuesday and Friday. So if you like them, leave a comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I try to reply to everybody in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Money for nothing and chicks for free.